Welcome to No Instructions. I'm Bob.
And I'm Josh.
And we're back.
Hi.
Every time. I went on a vacation. Vacation. I said that kind of strangely. I went on a vacation to the beach. And then... Why didn't we record last week? There was a reason. I don't know. Whatever. We're back. Super exciting for us. For you. What have you been up to?
I went on vacation too.
Maybe that's why we didn't record.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We were gone at the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. But I took a trip, a kind of impromptu trip to North Carolina to go hang out with our good buddy Wes Swain. And
A bunch of other people.
Yeah, and my old podcast mates from the Making Geeks podcast. I got to be on an episode. Sean Joliker from Geek Builders and Donovan Ewing from Once Upon a Workbench. It was a good time. It was always good to go hang out with people, and like it was like a slumber party. It wasn't. Wes organized like a maker meetup with people out there, which is really cool, and I got to meet some people I'd never met before. But most of the time, I think I went on like a Thursday and came back on a Monday, so it was just kind of chill. It showed off some 3D modeling. I think I maybe got in slight trouble because Wes's wife asked me to help her model their kitchen and asked me what I would do if I was redesigning it. So I modeled their entire kitchen, and now I think I have accidentally plagued Wes with a kitchen remodel.
Well, at least you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I'm just enabler. That's all I did.
Cool.
Yeah, but it was a really good time. He lives in North Carolina outside of Raleigh. And so I got to go to a barcade, this really nice barcade called Boxcar. And I want that in our town. I want it very much. It was very fun. And I want that. So how was your beach experience after talking about you preparing for your beach experience? That sigh lets me know that everything was great.
No, that sigh was just a catching my breath, trying to think thought thing. No, it was fine. It was tough, you know, like we talked about. It was difficult to... I decided ahead of time I was not going to try to, like... I wasn't going to try to influence the trip. I had nothing to do. I had no thing I needed to accomplish or people I needed to see outside of family. Like there wasn't any extra thing I needed to go do. And so I decided ahead of time, this is a chance for me to just go with the flow and be a yes man, you know? And be like, let's just, whatever you guys want to do. I have no agenda. I don't need to accomplish anything. Yes. And so it was a lot of, I was prepared for, okay, we're going to go here and we're going to see these people and we're going to do this and we're going to go. And we really didn't do any of that. We stayed in a condo that was, you know, over a boardwalk from the beach. There was a big pool right there. And so we went to the pool and we came back and we'd have lunch and we'd go to the beach and we'd come back and we'd have dinner and then we'd go back to the pool and we'd come back and we'd go to bed. And that was kind of it. Like, and the first day, my inclination at a beach is, I mean, I don't hate beaches or anything, but like a little bit is enough for me. And so the first day I was like, all right, I don't care what the water feels like. I'm going to get in. We're going to have fun. I'm going to play with the kids. We got in and played and swam and I had a great time and it was fun. And when I got out of the water, I was like, cool. My beach quota is met. I've had enough beach for several years now. And it not because it was bad, just like I just don't need a lot of that, you know. It was okay. And that was day one. And so like the rest of the trip was, okay, we're going back to the beach. Like, yay. But it was fine. The kids had a great time.
Good.
We spent a lot of time with cousins and, you know, nieces and nephews and stuff. And I tried to run. I didn't get all my normal miles in for my goal for this year that week. But I've been kind of building up an extra mile or two here or there over the course of the year. So as of August 1st, I was 1 mile over my goal. So I caught up a little bit from...
Your track goal?
Yeah.
Cool.
Even taking a kind of slow week. So, you know, tried to keep up with that, but man, it was hot down there.
It was hot up here.
Yeah, and when I came back, I'm like, yeah, I get to go back to, nope, it's 95.
Yeah, it was
like,
hot.
ugh. So,
But it was nice. I like it when it's hot.
yeah.
Makes me feel like I'm in Florida, ironically.
Yeah, it was a good trip. There was some stuff, like there's weird things when you get a whole lot of family together. There's always everybody. I don't mean this in a bad way. There's just everybody has a different type of parenthood, a different expectation of what a vacation is, a different idea of how you spend time together. Like, Jenny's family, her parents divorced when she was young. They both remarried. And so this was her dad's, that side. And he married Sherry, our kid's grandmother, who had 3 kids of her own.
So you have an extended, blended family.
Yes.
Ooh.
And those kids are adults. They're our age. And they have kids. And one of them has grandkids. So between all of the families and all of the generations, just within that kind of one offshoot of family, there was a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they either all live within, 30 minutes or a mile of the place we were staying, or they were staying at the condo. So everybody was within reach, which was great for hanging out on the beach and stuff. Really difficult for let's go to dinner together.
Yeah.
And so there were a couple of nights we tried twice and eventually succeeded of we're going to go to this restaurant. We're going to get there at 5 o'clock. We're going to call ahead. We're going to tell them we have 25 people and just make a place for us and whatever. And there comes a point, I realized for the first time, when a family unit gets too big to do that type of thing. Like that's let's meet at the house and everybody brings some food and we'll spend time. But trying to go out to a restaurant that's not made for that kind of...
Yeah, you're buying out the restaurant at that point.
Yeah, it was difficult, and it took so long, even though we planned ahead and they said they would hold tables and all that type of stuff. It took so long that it ends up kind of diminishing the experience because you sit around outside for 2 hours, and then you're just hangry and kids are bored and, that type of thing. Not a bad experience, but it made me realize, like, we may be at a point to where this is not how we spend time together anymore. Maybe it's... we all get together at somebody's house, or we go out to eat in different groups, and then the next night we switch so that you get to spend more personal time with everybody within the extended family rather than just like, I was at a table that was 20 yards away from the other person.
Yeah, because you're not at dinner with that person.
No, not at all. We went to a hibachi place one of the nights, and you know how like they'll have like the 2 grill places back to back, and then there's a U-shaped seating around it?
Yeah.
We had 2 grills all the way around both sides and added extra seats on 2 sides to get enough people around there. So even, the people across the way were like at 15 feet away from me. And like, so you're talking to the 2 people on either side of you.
So how's work going?
Yeah. So
good.
Not bad, but not a great way to spend time together. So I think that will probably inform how future stuff is, as far as vacations and... The holidays are always like at somebody's house, so it's very different. It's just kind of flowing room to room, get to see everybody kind of thing. But
well, if anybody tries or if anybody sees us at like an event, I have that exact same feeling about maker fairs and meetups and stuff.
Yep.
Like I will purposely avoid the big group of people when they go somewhere. So I know that it's neat to like, oh, we want to go with all of these and we can spend. Nope. I will pop smoke and disappear. And that's what I really like about David Picciuto.
We should get those little ninja things. And when that happens, we can just go poof.
Yeah, and then you got to run really fast.
Yeah,
like Batman.
Yeah.
But when Picciuto goes somewhere with everybody, he has that ability to like, oh, he's going to go peruse, and then he just is gone.
Yep.
And I always admired it, especially in those big environments. It's not like I want to be antisocial.
Yeah.
But inevitably... everybody starts to kind of get hungry or get whatever, and they're like, oh, well, and then someone goes, where's everybody going to eat? And then I key in, and I go, okay, I am not going to that place.
Yeah.
Because we tried that. It was
Red Robin, yep.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, we tried to go to one place that would have been bigger, and they couldn't get us in.
I don't even remember where that was.
It was BJ's. It was right next door to Red Robin.
Oh, yeah.
And they couldn't get us in because it was like on Saturday night in San Mateo, California or something.
Almost time to close.
And so then we went next door to Red Robin, and they could get us in, but it was like, just like an entire row of seats, and yeah.
And it was terrible. And you end up talking to the 4 people next to you.
Right.
And last time we went, you went somewhere that I didn't go because there were a lot of people. And so I ended up hanging out with a much smaller group of people down the street somewhere, like an Asian food restaurant. Anthony, you went with? Yeah. Anthony and I ran away.
I don't remember that.
It's because we weren't there. We ran away.
Oh. Well, how about that?
Then it's usually like, oh, so-and-so company is putting on a thing. I'm like, noted. Because every time we go to the so-and-so company is putting on a thing, it is not great. Either it's in a small venue or there's so many people who are there thinking that they're there just to get free stuff.
Right, yeah.
Like Inventables brought 1,000 X-Carves to give out to people who show up.
All you got to do is show up and you get some chicken wings and an X-Carve.
Exactly. Oh, you want to go to the rooftop bar at this swag Chinese hotel in Queens?
Yep.
No. Well, but it's going to be great. And you can't walk. Yeah, that was awkward.
Yep.
The rooftop. I remember that. No, it wasn't. It was like a.
It was a rooftop bar in a restaurant or in a hotel. But it was like the bar and the space right next to the bar was the entire place.
Yeah.
Yeah. There just wasn't a. And then there was a tiny little, like, 1 person thick terrace outside of.
That's what it was. It was the terrace thing.
You get outside and you're stuck between a wall and certain death.
Yep.
And then and there's people on both sides of you that don't know.
Like edging toward the capacity for that terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine you're in your master bathroom with about 80 other people all trying to have a conversation.
Sounds about right.
Thinking that you're going to get a free X-Carve. Like, that's what those dinners are.
Yeah.
So after going to that one, actually, I was all humdrum about it. And then we went there, and then we almost got to make a project that was going to go on the International Space Station. So I immediately hushed out everybody else and tried to have a conversation with that dude.
Yep.
At screaming volumes.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Shocker, nothing came about it because we talked about it in a terrace bar in New York.
Yeah.
But then we went with Evan and Caitlin to go eat some dumplings, and that was really awesome.
That was great. Yep.
So, like, in those big things, it may seem really neat to, like, try to get your opportunity to talk to, like, Jimmy DiResta or Bobby Duke or Bob Claggett or whoever.
That guy's a turd. You don't want to talk to him.
But you're going to have a better time with just you and your friends at a small place.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Same goes for family.
Yeah, and I think the last time I tried to do something like that was at the beach house that we rented for Thanksgiving. But we coordinated meals. And even then, people were just grown up enough to go, we're going to go do this thing. And it was, okay. My family is very, let's say blunt, but like just to the point like that.
Matter of fact.
Yeah, we're not worried about hurting someone's feelings. Maybe to a fault, I don't know. But I get that sentiment that like everybody has to feel obligated to go out as a giant family.
Yeah.
Even when it is the least practical thing on the face of the planet to do.
Yeah.
And I get that like with my wife's family, like they would love just to be all in the same geographical grid coordinate together, not interacting together, which is a good thing. But I'm the one like I could be in the same address and never speak to somebody. Is that valuable? Or is it the smaller conversations that you can go hang out after the fact?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it comes down to different people need different things socially, and socially being with friends or with family. I think that's one thing is that, at least with that side of our family, the way that they interact, the way that they spend time together is different than how we spend time together here with my family, or even her other side of her family because of parents being split. Just people have a different rhythm as to what spending time together looks like, And so I'm talking about this big family get together as if it was maybe not the best idea, but I didn't talk to any of them about it. Maybe it was absolutely perfect for what their expectation was and what they wanted to get out of it. And that's totally fine, We just have a different way to do social stuff or habits or the things that we're comfortable in, the places that we're comfortable in. I mean, I get in a loud, crowded place and I noticed this time at that particular first restaurant that we went to, and I felt this way before at certain other places, where I'm looking at someone who's trying to talk to me, and I'm watching their mouth, and I'm trying so hard to hear what they're saying, but there's a different voice that's coming from another conversation somewhere that is getting my attention. And so I'm hearing one thing, and I'm looking at something else, trying to be attentive, and it's not like I'm trying to eavesdrop. I just can't get those two things in sync. And then I feel really bad. Like somebody is telling me something and I'm nodding because I'm trying, but I don't know what they're saying and I don't get it. And then I feel like a faker because and it's just a situation of like the acoustics or I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I attributed that kind of conversation to a conversation you would have with someone in Italian or in French. That like you're near them and you're picking up like every third or fifth word.
Yeah, totally.
And you're like, I get the gist of what you're saying. And like, oh, that's neat. Is like a canned kind of response. But like, I'm not able to give you my full attention because of the scenario that you're in.
And I feel bad about that. So I think being in a place like that just makes me like, oh, I wish I could just kind of, can we go over in that corner and you can tell me all that again so that I get it? And then, But again, some people love that situation, so I try not to knock it. It was just it wasn't as beneficial for us who have not seen our family for a couple of years. It was the first time we've been down there in a long time, and so I don't want to miss out on catching up with somebody just because I can't hear them. But overall, the trip was good. I talked a little bit about it on making it, and I've told you guys about it. But we went to a classic car museum. There was one of my sons has started noticing cars and makes and models, and he's interested in how cars look and stuff. And so he found this little What to Do in St. Augustine book and in the condo and was like, hey, look, there's a classic car museum. That's cool. And I said, well, maybe, this was on like a Sunday or Monday. I said, well, I don't really want to plan anything, especially not something that just I'm interested in. So I'll say maybe Wednesday we'll do that. That way we have if it doesn't happen, we have a couple days of buffer, but it's not tomorrow, so we have a couple of days of like deciding. And so we kind of, loosely shot for Wednesday. And then it fell back to Thursday. And then it fell back to Friday. We were leaving on Saturday. And so by Thursday night, I was like, it's not going to happen. It's okay. And not a big deal. It just doesn't fit into this trip. We'll be here again next year, I'm sure. So not a big deal. And Jenny kept saying, like, no, I don't want you to not do something that you're interested in just because we haven't made time for it yet. Like, we will get to it. So I went around to each kid individually without the group think and set them down. I was like, going to this thing that I'm kind of interested in, do you have any interest at all? And if not, totally cool. Some of us can go or none of us can go. Like, it doesn't matter, but I just want like an honest opinion about whether it's worth taking part of your vacation to do a couple of hours of this thing. Because I was really trying not to push like everybody get in the car, we're going to the thing I want to see, So I went around to each one of them, and they all had that sounds pretty cool, or that sounds awesome, let's definitely do that. But nobody was like, well, if everybody else wants to. And so we went, and we had a really good time, and they all enjoyed it for different reasons, and different cars stuck out to different people, and it was a really good time, and it was very short, and it was on the way out of town, on the way to going to see other family and stuff, so it was a nice little way to end up the beach part of the trip, and get to see some cool stuff and get some inspiration for the Carmen Ghia going forward.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's beautiful cars. A bunch of cars I'd never heard of before, or had never seen up close, but... Yeah,
you and Jimmy were talking about that Fairlane, and my brother I say we were into cars, but like we liked cars. My brother liked the ones that he liked, and I liked the ones that I liked. And I remember we got these die-cast models one time from some family member, and my brother got this Fairlane. And I don't remember if the roof opened up, but did it have tinted glass ceiling?
Yeah, I don't
like
think
right above the driver.
I don't believe it had any glass in the ceiling.
I think there's a 57 Fairlane or an earlier Fairlane that had like a bubble top above the driver and the passenger, but it was tinted green.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know if it was like just to match the color of the car. Yeah, I was always into Corvettes, so whenever you were mentioning seeing the line of Corvettes, that always sparked my interest.
That was pretty cool. Have you been to the Corvette museum here?
No, I haven't.
You should. My cousin works down there.
Really?
Works in the plant.
I didn't know.
He's like a line engineer for Corvette factory.
Well, like the Corvettes they have now, I'm not really keen on the Corvettes that exist right now. I like the late 70s. I like the astronaut Corvettes. When I think of a Corvette, that's what I have in my head.
The bubble glass ones?
Yeah, the Stingrays, the swoopy, really low. Like, that's what I have whenever I picture one. And so the ones now look like Ferraris, which is cool, but that's not what I see as a Corvette.
Yeah, I think they're a different thing. I like the new ones for a different reason. In fact, we went to, before we left St. Augustine to go to this car museum, we pulled into this like health food store or whatever. And so we're all sitting in the car. Jenny went in by herself to get something. And one of the brand new Corvettes, the mid-engine, orange and black, pulled up right behind us and parked. And I was like, kids, turn around. And they all turned around. They're like, what is that thing? I'm like, that's a Corvette. What? It looks like a Lamborghini.
Yep.
How it does.
So Tiff's grandfather has the model year before the mid-engine.
Oh, okay.
And he was really into cars, and he has been for a long time. And he owns like an air conditioning company in the Panhandle of Florida. So he's
super busy all the time.
Well, he's older, and so someone else runs it for him. But like he's never wanted for anything.
Yeah, right.
And I remember when I started dating Tiff in high school, we went to go see them, and he pulled up in this white Trans Am with blue rims and like a blue convertible hood. It was a convertible top. It was a limited edition, some odd run, newer, crazy looking Trans Am. I'm like, oh, good grief. So you're a baller and you have lots of money. Noted. This is who I'm dealing with. And we went back this last time we went down for Thanksgiving. We went to go see him, and he had bought like this new GMC truck, like the AT4, the fully kitted out, new looking, awesome truck. And he was like, oh, you got to come see the Corvette. And he had an old Corvette sitting in this other, like, lean-to pole barn looking thing that I wanted to buy from. He was like, you don't want that thing. He's like, it's been torn up from hurricanes. He's like, it's a piece of garbage. Then he sold it to somebody for like $12,000. Yeah. So he pulls up. We go into the garage that used to have his Trans Am in it. I'm like, oh, you got rid of it. And he had it, and he like started it with a remote start, and he's like, blah, 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 like gurgled to life. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And he's like, that's how the salesman got me. He says, I was buying the truck, and I was just looking at the Corvettes. And I was just like, he had a line of them outside of the dealership, and I was just staring at him like, oh, man, it'd be kind of nice. And he's like, one just came to life right in front of me. Lights popped up and whatever. And I don't know if they pop up anymore. But he said he turned around, and the salesmen were all standing there and like did that. And he's like, this is how we get people to buy Corvettes.
Yeah,
and he's like, well, it worked. And so he like traded in almost 1-for-1 his whatever limited edition crazy Trans Am for one of the, at the time, brand new Corvettes.
Yeah.
I'm like, good grief. That's cool. Good for you. I can't make such rash decisions, but I mean, I don't own an air conditioning company in Florida either.
You know, I was thinking about that. I've always wanted to, I mean, not that. That leads to a thought. So somebody like that has multiple vehicles that they don't have a specific purpose for. They just enjoy the vehicle and they can afford to get them, so they get them. I've never been that person in my entire life. And I realized as I was working on the Carmagia last week that I have a car now. This is going to be many years before it's drivable. But I have a car that will not be the thing that I have to drive to get somewhere.
Yep.
And that is a little bit strange.
Yep. So I had that scenario. When we were in Belgium, I had my Jeep, and we bought my wife a brand new Ford Focus. Because when you live overseas in the military, you can get military car sales. It means you can buy a car without paying any sales tax. And at the time, we could get, for the life of the loan, 0% finance.
Whoa.
Yeah. So we bought her a new Ford Focus. Hooray. Fusion, not a Focus, a Fusion. And we had to like save up money to try to ship it back to the States because the government would only ship one vehicle. Like less than a month before we were scheduled to leave, I had a port date for the Jeep, the whole thing. Like we were out processing. This drunk Belgian lady swerved and smashed into her car, which then hit the front of our brick house and punched a hole in the front of the brick house a little bit. Not a huge hole. Because we had like street parking in Europe.
Not a huge hole.
And because it's a unibodied car, she hit like in the back quarter panel. They totaled the car. And that was one of those times I was very happy that I spoke French. Because I was like, I don't have time for a body shop to repair this thing in Europe.
Yeah.
And so I was speaking to the body shop guy in French. I'm like, you have to total this car. Like, it will be totaled. And he did. I mean, probably for not my influence, but the car was totaled. And then they called me. They're like, you need to come get your car out of the body shop or they're going to start charging you. I'm like, I don't understand. The insurance paid out what we got, which was we had equity in the car, which was great. We had the money that we set aside for the port and like the boat fees. And they're like, no, it's your car. You do what you will. And they're like, there's a company in the Netherlands that'll pay you $1,200 for it. And it was fine. Like the car worked. Everything in the car worked. It had a slight little wobble in the back. It wasn't terrible, but I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. And I know in Germany there's a huge American presence. So I called up this car company that said they fix American cars in Germany. And that guy paid me €8,000 for it.
What?
In cash.
Dang.
Yep. Drove up and handed me this huge wad of just rainbow, crazy, Skittles colored, different size money. And so we took all of that money that we had and we bought a car outright whenever we got back to the States.
Dang.
And it was a Mazda 3, the zippy, awesome little Mazda 3. And then our third kid was born, so we got a van. And so we had 3 cars. I'm like, I don't need 3 cars. This is cool, but like, I don't need 3 cars.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of ours that was going into the mission field, and she sold a whole bunch of stuff and to raise money. And we're like, well, do you need a car that's good on gas? Because she was going to be traveling all around. So we gave it to her. And it was a really awesome feeling to be able to just give a car away.
Yeah.
And I think about that because like now the Jeep is awesome. I love my Jeep forever. But I'm like, the Jeep is not going to last forever. And what else would I do? And I'm like, well, I kind of miss that little zippy Mazda, but like I can't fit plywood or anything in it.
Sure you can.
Not with that kind of attitude. But I think about that car and I think about how awesome it was to bless somebody.
Yeah.
But then just, yes, you're right. The access of having a car that is not your everyday car.
Feels a little weird.
It did feel weird because we lived in a rental house that was pretty baller. And so it had a big like circular driveway. So I felt like extra fancy that I could park all my cars in my big baller driveway.
We're going to have to move number 1 and number 2 so I can get
Yeah.
number 3 out, please.
The car that got 30 miles to the gallon, Jeep Grand Cherokee, and a minivan. How baller are we?
That's right. Well, I don't know whenever the Carmen Ghia, I mean, part of what got me thinking about this was that I don't know when it's finished or when it's drivable. Like, I don't want to just leave it outside like I do the Land Cruiser, but we don't have enough garage to put. I mean, we might be able to we have 2 garages, but one of them is full of like bikes and stuff, and it's like a utility garage. It's not really like a car garage. So I'm going to put all this effort and time and money into getting something really pretty. I'm not going to leave it out for the elements to destroy.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how I'm going to handle that. I just never even considered that. Like all the years that I've wanted that car, I never thought about actually having one.
Oh yeah, the logistics of maintaining it and keeping it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a little strange. I mean, it'll be fine, but that part never comes into your mind when you're just thinking about like the dream car that you want,
right?
Or the whatever, because it doesn't seem realistic. It's kind of like the R2D2 thing. Like it always seems super cool to like build an R2D2, but then you're done with it and you're like, wait, now I have this giant trash can on wheels that I have to find a place for. Luckily, ours is in our living room, but So anyway.
So every morning I take my dog for a walk. I pass by this apartment building, and there is this person that has a car cover, but it's like a clamshell car cover. It has a frame with a central pivot point.
Oh yeah,
And it like folds up, and then the person can drive out, and then it just like they fold it back down. Yeah, and I thought that was super neat. I don't know what's under there. I've never seen the person actually drive out. I've just seen it close and I've seen it open.
Maybe it's a tent.
It looks like a big tent.
Maybe somebody lives in it.
Perhaps. I thought maybe a motorcycle or like one of those weird.
Is it like low, or is it like a tall, like a carport kind of thing?
It doesn't. It's not a full size carport. It may be one of those weird little like sidekick whatever things that looks like the Batmobile with like the wheels on the front and the thing back.
Yeah.
It looks like a squatty car. Like you could put like a Mazda 3 or something in it. Maybe. It's not the full size carport because I'm pretty sure the apartment people would get mad. But it's a very obvious presence. It's not small. It's not carport.
Interesting. I looked at some collapsible carports when I was thinking about working on the Carmen Ghia here. I thought about one of those that it's like a tent kind of, but slightly bigger than car size so that you can get in and out of the doors and stuff underneath it. But ultimately, I just didn't want to do that to my neighbors, and I didn't want to be... Even anything I took out of it, I would still have to put somewhere and stuff like that. So that's why I went to the farm. But anyway, what else is new?
Did you want to hear about the Emmy experience?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Because I went on vacation and strangers that I met wanted to talk about the Emmys, and it was very weird. So this will be, I'll take Anthony and I's experience at the Emmys.
So my experience, just so that everybody has context, I was in Florida at this dinner that I was talking about at the 35,000 person dinner, sitting outside in this bar restaurant thing that was incredibly loud, and I couldn't hear the people right next to me. And occasionally I would turn on my phone, hit refresh on Twitter. Well, they haven't announced our category yet. Cool. I go back to like listening and trying to listen for 20 minutes, and I'd check it again. I'm like, oh, there's our category. Yeah, we didn't win. Okay, cool. That was my experience with the Emmys.
So there was a little bit more of a spectacle, maybe just because Anthony was here. My wife apologized.
He does make things into a spectacle.
He does. He's quite a presence. But my wife apologized that she didn't have a viewing party. And I went, oh, I guess that's a thing people do. And it caught me by surprise. But then, so I talked about this last episode about how we had like a dry run and how everything was on Skype. So showed up at our designated time. Figured out what to wear. I took my boys out to Kohl's, and they picked out a shirt for me. And I have a...
You trusted your young children with dressing you for an award show.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have similar taste, I suppose. They couldn't have messed up any more than I was going to. They were quite upset. They're like, Dad, what about this shirt? I'm like, no. And then they thought that I was being mean to them or I wasn't taking their point into consideration. I had to pull them aside. I'm like, gentlemen, I have no idea what I'm looking for. I don't know what it is. All of this I don't like. So please don't be offended whenever I don't like the shirt that you're picking out. But
I also don't like these other
10. I don't like the shirts that
Yeah.
I'm currently picking out. But I put on my suit jacket. Anthony looked very handsome, but we both were in our board shorts. So we were special occasion on the top, super chill on the bottom. But we came in and sat here at this table. And because I signed all the releases and whatever, like I had to be on camera. And then they were like, if you win and you want somebody else on camera, then your people can come on, but they just have to be quiet and whatever. So he sat next to me. So when we got onto like the green room, we were in like a Skype conversation with, I don't know, 10, 12 other people. And I don't know who any of these people were. They started talking like they had some familiarity with who they were. I was completely lost. And the producer guy who was in charge of the green room was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. And just reiterated what the other lady said. Make sure you have your microphone. Make sure you have wired earplugs. You know, just stuff for the broadcast. And they're like, all right, you're going to be here for this time. If you're in this category, your show time is this, which was like 45 minutes to an hour away. They're like, we can't tell you exactly because people's speeches might run long. And so we're in this chat, which is like a bunch of random people. And they're all very nicely dressed. And so these people just randomly start chatting. And they had 3 categories in one green room. So there was the how-to and instructional content, which was ours. There was some other...
like 5 groups?
5. There were 5 nominees. Ask This Old House had their producer, whose name is Sarah. This Old House had their producer, whose name was Tom, an older guy. The whatever home edit ladies were on because they were having a viewing party in their house. And the other show, which was just some house flippy show, their producer showed up late. So the other people, come to find out, was the best female lead in a drama series. And so there was like really pretty like ladies in like pretty lady LA gowns and things. And I was like, this is strange. And I don't know what to talk about. And so it was like...
So who are you wearing?
You been here before? Kind of thing. And then this one lady, she was kind of older, but she looked familiar. And she was speaking like she was not stressed or nervous or whatever. And I was like, oh, so have you done these? She's like, oh, yes, I've done many of these. And you could kind of see people's names if you like clicked on the roll up of how many people are in like a Skype conversation. And so I was writing them down and I would like Google people on my phone really quick to see who I was talking to. And the lady I started talking to, she's talking about like scuba diving and like water. She's in, yes, you do scuba dive in water, but like about clean water.
Title.
She's the like lead of some nonprofit agency in California about maintaining some water sources, or I don't remember. So I was talking to her all about scuba diving. It was a really good conversation about her favorite dive sites. And then I finally looked it up, and she was on NYPD Blue, she was Andy Sipowitz's wife, the blonde-haired lady.
Andy Sipowicz.
And I used to watch that show when I was a kid with my dad. And so I wrote my dad. I'm like, hey, I'm having a conversation about scuba diving with Andy Sipowitz's wife. And he was like, what? You're doing what? And he got all excited. And it was one of those just silly moments. And then this other actress lady was in like New Zealand, but she starred on some show called The Bay, which looked like if the Jersey Shore was on like a daytime soap opera and scripted. That's what it looked like. But Anthony and I got bored, as we do. And we brought our Game Boys. And so we played head-to-head Tetris. I think I'm going to go on a limb and say the first ever Daytime Emmy head-to-head Tetris competition.
I think that's a pretty good, safe thing to say.
Which I won.
Nice.
And everybody was very stoked that we had Game Boys. Had no idea who we were and what we were doing there.
Did you guys break in here?
Yeah. And that's like, I don't know, Anthony, I felt like we had won some contest accidentally.
Yeah. Like,
and they were like, you can attend the Emmys. And so like we got access that normal people wouldn't get, but we still didn't really belong there and weren't really sure what we were doing. And other people weren't sure what we were doing. And then when you got like filtered down to like it was almost your time, we talked a little bit to the Ask This Old House producer, and then like the cutesy home edit girls came back from their party, and they were like, they were all bubbly and they were talking and they're like, oh my god, we're totally not gonna win, and they were being like very modest about the whole thing. And then in my research of all the people in our category, I was like, so what season are you in on your Netflix TV show where you go to celebrities' houses and you do all these things? She was like, well, we're right in the middle of shooting season 3. And then the other home renovation whatever show, and the guy was like, yeah, we just wrapped on season 3. The cutesy guy and girl would have been here, but she's having a baby like at that moment. And then I was talking to This Old House people, like This Old House is in season 42 or 48. Ask This Old House was in season 14.
Golly.
I'm like, we're 3 dudes in a basement that make silly stuff every week. And then when I did that, the Ask This Old House people were like super complimentary of all of our work. Like they knew who we were. I didn't know who they were. All of them, or not all of them, but at least This Old House people knew who we were, which made me feel kind of good.
Yeah.
But still, it was very crazy. And then you get like a live feed with the hosts, which it looked really janky. I know it's like live feeded and everything, and like you could like see the production, and they were standing in green screens, and it was like some people were remote, some people were in studio. But when it was our turn, like I knew we weren't gonna win, but I legitimately got nervous. And then they said This Old House, who won, and homeboy didn't turn on his microphone because they told us many times what to do, and he didn't do it. And so he was just talking at nothing for a while. And then as soon as he was done with his speech, they hung up on us. like that.
Just like that.
Beep boop. That's the sound it made. And then we were done. It was very matter of fact. But what I thought was interesting, and I don't know if I actually told you, was the grading process. Because the whatever actress from who was in New Zealand.
Wait. Oh.
You're playing with R2-D2's Lego leg. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Has a neat little
Is it lock?
Lock, yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, go ahead.
But she kind of led us on to the grading process. How people win, how they're not. So anybody can, I guess, nominate themselves. Or not nominate. You can submit 2 pieces of work, which is what you did. So then the National Association of Arts and Films or whatever, there's like 3 different organizations that have some permutation on those words who run the primetime Emmys. Then another organization runs the daytime, and the other ones run the regional. So it's not all run by the same group.
Gotcha.
So for the daytime ones, at least, people submit it from all over the land for whatever they're doing. And then that organization will cut down those 2 pieces to what they feel is the most, like, impressive clip. I don't know how long the clips are, but she said they cut them down. She said she was judging, because I guess anybody could be a judge, but she judged best voiceover work. And she said that the organization people.
Ah! Sorry, almost done. Boy, there's a bag in a bag. Hold, please. Okay, done.
Organization people sent her. Sorry, Anthony. What did you say? Like over 100? It was 100. The number 100 stuck out. It was either over 100 or 100 submissions for voiceover work. Wow. And she looks at each one of the clips that they were cut down, and then she has a grading rubric that I think she scores 1 through 8. She didn't say what all was on the rubric. But
such a weird word.
Rubric is a weird word. I haven't had to say that word in a long time.
Rubric.
So she takes that. She is not the only judge, but then they submit that work. An algorithm takes that and compiles it all, and then comes up with the top 5 out of the however many submissions. So for best voiceover work, there were 100 or over 100. I don't remember. I have no clue how many people were in our category, but I imagine quite a few because there's tons of people that do this. You know, their cutesy home renovation TV show is not the only one. There's tons of them.
Yeah.
So when everybody was being kind of self-deprecating and like, oh my goodness, you're going to win. No, you're going to win. They're like, we don't even know why we're here. Hee hee. She kind of told us to shut up and that we should be proud of being the top 5, which everybody is like, oh, it's just super nice to be nominated. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what this means. I don't know if it's nice or if it's just like a thing to experience.
Yeah.
But then hearing the like behind the curtain of the grading and like how we all came to be in that place at that time made me really proud of what we did. And they didn't tell us what clip like that they picked because you chose the action props video and you chose the walnut board challenge. So the only way that we knew what we were nominated for was as the host like called out people's names, they played the little clip.
Yeah.
And we both got really proud. Anthony and I, we were like beaming. They were like, look at that thing that we made in our basement because we thought it was going to be silly. And how many times I flung myself up against that rack out there and made screaming noises. And Anthony was like, I got a Wilhelm scream on the Emmys.
Yep.
So in that moment, it became like, that is the one thing that this clip is why we're here. And so you see everybody else's one clip. So Ask This Old House guy, was it Tommy? Tom Silva was like talking to this girl about building something. And it's just her like them talking. And I'm like, if it's the action props thing, our clip is better than that one. And I don't remember all the other clips. But looking at him, I'm like, I think ours is better than him. So I started to get a little bit of confidence. Like, okay, this might actually be possible.
Yeah.
And then they get to This Old House's clip. And it's a firefighter who's like driving a truck with a camera on it through an active forest fire. Like driving through flames to get to some house that had burned down. And then Ask This Old House helped or covered the story, I'm not sure exactly what, of them building houses back. And I went, oh God, there's no way that anybody's going to beat this. Like, we could have built a project with Helen Keller and we wouldn't have been, like, beat this. Like, there's no way that anybody else is going to win.
Maybe we should try that next time.
Next time we reincarnate Helen Keller?
Yes. It's a 2-part series. The first one is the reincarnation. The second one is the project.
I'm Bob and I like to make stuff. And today, resurrection.
We're gonna reanimate someone.
But like, it was like, oh, This Old House. And then I realized I could see myself on screen. And I'm like, oh, you should not make a disappointed face.
Not the stink face.
I'm like, And I just kind of made the like, yep, figured that was going to happen kind of face. And I saw other people start to clap. I'm like, oh, maybe you should start to clap. And then he didn't speak. And then he eventually spoke. And then they hung up on us. And then did an Instagram story. And we went home. But like, it was neat because all of the people like in our community tight circle like watched it. And like my son was so enamored that we were on TV, not even like in a award show because they have no frame of reference as to what that means.
Yeah. Right.
But they were like, you were on TV. And I'm like, you could watch all of our videos on that same TV and we would be as equally like air quotes on TV.
On TV. Yeah.
He was stoked and he beamed the proudest when he got the newspaper article. Because it's a medium that he doesn't understand. Like that's like an encyclopedia. That's a book. You're in print.
You want to explain that to the listeners?
Oh, somehow the local newspaper got my email address and sent us some questions. And then I wrote you. I said, do you want to answer this person's questions? And shocker, listening audience. He went, not really. So I said, well, all right. I'm going to answer this as if I'm answering for Bob. And I made sure many times in this article that I was not you and I did not speak for you. But I think the article was pretty well written.
Yeah, it was.
And my son has it cut out and taped to his wall.
Cool.
Yeah. I got some extra newspapers because I was going to like make a little hang up thing on the wall.
Cool.
But didn't you say that like the Emmy Association, whoever it was, the National Arts and Farts and whoever's, they have like a plaque
I don't
thing
think that's what it is.
that you could get, like these dudes were nominated that one time and then showed up on a computer in their board shorts.
I think that's what it says, yes. Yeah, you can order. I've gotten several emails since then. Don't lose your chance to order this medallion with your nomination date.
Medallion?
I don't know. It's something. There's like a piece of paper or a piece of paper on a piece of wood or a piece of wood with brass or a piece of wood with brass and lights or I don't know. There's a bunch of different options that are all several $100s.
Ooh. Well, I just wanted to see. I don't know if they had an example because I was going to rip it off and make one ourselves.
I don't know.
Or I'll just make one up ourselves and just have the picture of Anthony and I in our board shorts. Yeah. But now everybody I talk to was like, so you just like introduce yourself as Emmy nominated. I like to make stuff.
Maybe.
That'd be the weirdest flex that I think that we could have.
That would be.
Yeah. But the whole thing was kind of, it was strange, like I said, but it honestly felt like we won some type of contest.
Yeah.
And I was asking Mrs. Sipowicz, that's not her real name, NYPD Blue actress, like, what is it like if this were like a real, like in real life? And her and the other actresses were like, oh man, they're like, it is crazy. Because they like shut down this whole huge part of downtown. And she was like, if it's in this one location, it's like this. If it's in this other location, blah, blah, blah. And they have like a bunch of like pre-parties. And then there's the actual green room where you're like hanging out talking. She's like, and that's where a lot of people's deals are made. She's like, so if you are up in a category, you start talking to other producers. Or you start talking to people's agents. Or you start talking to people's assistants or whatever. And she's like, there's a huge like networking opportunity just in that one room. And she's like, and it's pretty great that if you see somebody that you have loved your whole life as, you know, a TV star, you can go up to that person. And she's like, it's not as awkward as people think that you're like, oh my God,
right. Yeah.
This is your chance to like be in the same room as your favorite daytime
soap opera.
Like I could have met Alex Trebek. Alex Trebek, if he wasn't dead, R.I.P., he won a daytime
Volume 2, Reanimation.
But he won a
Anthony,
daytime
write this down.
Emmy. But he won. But theoretically, if we were to fly to California and go to the actual thing, like we could have just like met people and been in that environment and made a bunch of connections that we would probably never make. And she's like, that's the real, I think, gem of all this. She's like, because only one person's going to win.
Yeah.
She's like, so the crescendo of your night is either like the most joy that you've had in your professional career, which I went, okay, this is probably why we're not supposed to be here because this is definitely not the most joy we've had in our career. Right. She's like, or you just had a really fun party night hanging out with a bunch of people that you would have never gotten a chance to meet.
I mean, that's valid. I mean, that,
right. Yeah. So if we ever get nominated for an Emmy again and we get the chance to go to California, I don't know who we would meet.
You wouldn't get to wear board shorts.
I will wear whatever I want to wear. Them South Park dudes wore a dress, so I could wear a dress.
It's true.
Over top of my board shorts. And take them off like a basketball player.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was crazy. It still is kind of crazy. But I think, do you have an impact? Has it made an impact at all?
No.
And that may sound kind of some kind of way. I don't really know because I've thought about it.
What do you mean?
Like I was thinking about those actresses or whatever. Like, it is the recognition that an Emmy for them is like the culmination of their highs, their lows in their professional career. Like, it is the highest moment, that their highest achievement that they could possibly hope to reach by like winning this thing or multiples of those things. And so they treat that whole event with the amount of grandeur and attention that moment for them demands.
Yeah.
To where for us, we're dudes in board shorts playing a Game Boy late at night. And I brought ice cream. And we were going to have some drinks, but then my wife reminded me that every time I drink, my face gets all flush. And she told me, you don't want to be flush on the Emmys. So, like, it was the most nonchalant. Like, people didn't even have a watch party. Not that we wanted one, but it was, like, that much of a non-event for us that it was the complete antithesis for other people in their professional careers.
Yeah. But I think that's about, the careers are different, and they have a different impact and a different evidence of impact. And like we were talking a couple of weeks ago, I think for us, the impact would be something, the ups and downs of work. The evidence of that impact is somebody coming up to us in person and saying, what you do has done this for me.
Right.
That's an Emmy moment to me. That's that thing that, like, oh man, like, we have to keep going. We have to keep doing more of this, even though this sponsor's a pain, even though it's it's irritating to have to go from store to store to find flat plywood. It's all these little things that just like add up to annoyance and being tired and whatever of work. Having those little moments with a human to say that what we have done has impacted them, that's the payoff.
Right.
And so, whereas in a different industry, the payoff is different. And so for those actresses who maybe, or actors or producers or whoever, their part of the overall impact is maybe different. And so that award is the representation of their participation in that thing.
Yeah.
Because they don't necessarily have an individual coming up to them and being like, oh, your soap opera about the Jersey Shore made this impact on me and led me.
True.
Maybe they do. I don't know. But
I don't know either. I imagine This Old House would get kind of both of those.
Probably. Yeah. And I think a lot of things do. There's not. Yeah. It's not all soap operas by any means.
But I was thinking
But like a animated show, the people who produce and spend a huge amount of time, they're faceless to the people that watch that show.
Oh, yeah. Other than the two cutesy girls that showed up, like all the rest of the people in the category were not people that were actually on camera. So I did not feel that out of place because there was no...
Right.
Like Tom Silva wasn't there.
They don't get that Maker Faire experience, that one-to-one, like you've made an impact on me in this way. So it is a different thing. For sure.
But I wonder if people think that we're being smug or aloof at like downplaying our participation in the Daytime Emmys, which is a silly sentence. But I hope that listening to this, you don't realize that or that's not the takeaway.
Yeah, well, I hope not.
Is it like we're extremely proud to be involved? Mainly because it's validation from the speech that I was going to give. I just dictated from what you said the last podcast, and it sounded really good. So I just had that, and it was pretty much thanking all the people that support us, and it was validating what people in their garages every day are doing to mainstream media. And I think that was pretty much it. It was not like a little like thumbing our nose at all the huge production companies, but like in some kind of way, like it's finally everybody else who's been doing this for free for their entire side gig, working and busting their butts, trying to put out content just to make people's world better, are finally being kind of recognized by huge production Hollywood elites. But I honestly don't know what we would have done if we would have won, or like what we would have done with it.
I think that I agree. I don't either, and I think that speaks to where that kind of a thing fits into our personalities and into our business and into our culture around what we do. I mean, it would go on a shelf.
But I think like those actresses, if they were to be recognized in their industry and in their world, that accolade means something.
It's currency for them. It's
knighted.
Not currency for us.
And so totally. Like what we would do, we couldn't like go to Home Depot. We're like, how about you throw...
Can I get 50% off all plywood now, please?
Hello, Ford. We would like for you to sponsor a video and give us 10 trucks. Did you know that we have an Emmy? Like, I don't know if that is the currency in our world as it is in other people's.
Right, totally.
And so I may have... I don't know. It would have been a mixture of, like, pride or just sheer unbelief. I think disbelief would have been the reigning emotion in that moment.
If we totally agree with that. I would have been a little confused as to how to proceed. Like,
I would have read the stuff that I had because I had my phone ready just in case I didn't want to look like a turd. But apparently that was the bar. It was pretty easy to jump over because homeboy forgot his microphone and just started talking at nobody. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if could they have given us multiple? Then we could have sword fought with them.
Oh, within a single category?
Yeah.
No.
If we would have won, we would give one to all of us, and then we could have worn it around our neck like Flavor Flav.
That I don't know.
Take it to a restaurant and try to get to the front of the line.
Excuse me. Just
Me and slap it on the hostess hand. My friend here, like a table.
Table for two. Me and Mr. Emmy.
We could fight off attackers. So do you have plans to do this again? To submit again? Because... No, sorry. No, go ahead.
I don't have an answer. I don't know.
I don't think, looking back, that there may be a few instances. But the reason that I think that we were picked up is because we put the amount of effort into making that short film. I think that was such a departure from what we do. And it was not helpful. It was not meant to make somebody better or smarter. We just wanted to make something that looked cool. That's never really within the scope of what we do here, to just make something just to be fun. Or not fun, but like be cinematically awesome. So I don't know if anything else we do would be in that same context. And I thought about that, and I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it.
I think there's probably, I mean, especially with that in mind, we could always look for opportunities to create something that we're already doing and give it a visual, an extra visual oomph, to make a clip worthy for that. And then that starts to get into kind of a weird place. Like, what are you chasing? What are your motivations? And so I don't think we would want to do that. I don't think we would want to choose to try to create something to match an award, viewing
pander to
criteria.
Judges.
Yeah. I don't think we'd want to do anything like that. But I do think it's interesting that clip got picked because it caught someone's attention. Whoever the editors were, it caught their attention as the thing that was unique. And so I think we could, as a business, as creative people, we could focus on how do we make things that have the same impact, that have the usefulness that one didn't have,
right,
that have the reach that one didn't necessarily have, but capture someone visually.
Yeah.
So
I think that there's a lot of people out there that are doing that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that can try in the balance of scales of being really just helpful DIY whatever content and then just looking cinematically beautiful. I think there's a lot of people that are doing that better than we are, which is kind of crazy that like they put in a lot more cinematic effort, and it may be smaller scale, but like we haven't busted out the smoke machine again. And maybe for the flip up cherry side table, we can pull out the smoke machine. But like we would have to pick a project that would, because that was even a stretch for what we did. Like we made action props, so it was kind of seamless to like we should show off the action props in an action film.
Yeah.
And
that was all part of the original idea. I mean,
yeah.
That was built together.
That was a really fun conversation. And that was your idea to go, we need to make a short film. And then we all went, ooh. And everybody like perked up. All of our past experience up till that moment was like, yep, we're going to do all of those things. I reached back in boxes from the Army. Anthony got on his film school cap, and we just put that thing together, and it looked amazing. And we were super proud of it. And I remember that clip we were like sharing around with people.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I'm glad that someone else saw the value that we placed in it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that something else we do that has a more concrete effect as far as teaching or, motivating somebody. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that type of stuff could also gain the same kind of attention.
Yeah.
So I think we could submit again in the future if there's a thing that we feel is worth it. But I also don't care. I wouldn't be like, we really should have tried this year. Whatever.
We missed Emmy season.
Yeah, we have plenty to do. We have more irons in the fire than we have like hands to handle the irons. We just have too much going on. So,
yep.
Something like that would become so low on the priority list that I would rather focus on doing the thing that we are aimed at doing, with the hopes that we get those one-to-one responses from people at events and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's our Emmy payoff. Mine, anyway.
And you're not petty enough to want to try to make a video just to compete with Jimmy's TV show.
No.
Because theoretically, we could just have the maker movement just take over the Daytime Emmys in that category.
Yeah.
We would all just know each other. Maybe that would be the Maker Fair replacement. Is just the after party at the Emmys, where we try to go to Red Robin again.
Oh gosh, bringing it back around. Well, we're over an hour, so let's wrap it up. Unless you got anything else on
Nope.
Emmy stuff.
No.
Cool. Thanks for hanging out and listening, everybody. Thanks especially to our Maker Alliance members. And for all the support we get for them. Oh, look at it on the screen. On the screen, in case you're listening, it says, join the Maker Alliance. Go to iltms.com/join. And you can join the Maker Alliance. I always say this. I'm going to say it again because it's the truth. They are awesome.
Yeah.
And the Discord is becoming more and more of this like group of people that it's gelling into more and more of a community of friends than a disparate group of Discord users that all showed up because they liked a YouTube channel.
Right.
It's awesome to watch. And that has very little to do with us. I mean, how they're gelling and how the friendships are. They created a thing. A bunch of them recently created parts of a sign. Everybody took a word of this quote, and everybody created multiple instances of a word, and then they shipped them all to everybody else who was involved. So everybody has a piece of everybody else's work, and when you put them all together, you all end up with the same sign. So cool. And they sent us a box of a single, an instance of all these pieces. So we have to put that together. But I thought that was really cool. That was entirely on the community. We had nothing to do with that.
And we have a place now that we can highlight that sign.
That's true.
Because I'm very proud of that sign.
Yeah.
That, like, we, in the smallest way possible, we brought people together. Mm-hmm. And they are running with it. There is the meetup that is happening next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's a week from yesterday, which is, what, the 10th?
Sure.
The 10th.
Second Tuesday of every month.
Yeah, so if you want to come hang out with Bob, if you want to have a real-life conversation with him, again, I'm not going to make any promises, but that's how I first met Bob, was in a Patreon hangout.
That's true.
And I was in the Emmys. So if you want to be in the Emmys, you should sign up for the Maker Alliance.
Join the Maker Alliance.
It's a 1-to-1 effect, people.
It has happened at least once. Big thanks to them, anyway, for just being around, being awesome. And if you want to join that crew, get Discord access, get early viewing of videos, discounts on plans. There's a bunch of stuff that goes with that.
I'm using a group of them as beta testers for something that is very important. If you listen to this podcast, we appreciate it, but I don't know who you are unless I can look directly at Discord, and I have asked for their immediate, very responsible feedback. So if you want to be part of that exclusive access club, that is where you get it.
Yep, absolutely. So go check that out if you want to. If not, thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. And where can people find you on the internet?
On Instagram at Josh_MakeStuff.
And you can find me and all of us at I Like to Make Stuff on all the different stuffs, including TikTok soon, right? We're going to start doing TikTok.
I'm going to make a TikTok.
We're going to be doing some TikToks.
I'm going to
keep an eye out for that. It's all Josh dancing.
No, I have edited you together in various action poses to make it look like you're dancing.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Maybe like a digital puppet of me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Deep fake.
Yeah. Go check that out on TikTok. We're not there yet. We will be at some point. Thanks for watching, listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.